Episode 6 of Ralph's Stuff includes driving. The original film of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, and no, I was not there to film it. I'm not quite that old. Josh attacks the tall grass. Near collision. The rhododendrons of spring. Leo White documentary preview. Lighting test. And Forklift Man. Stuff. This is episode number 6. And we have a nice show tonight. The first segment involves a new camera rig I bought for my car, which lets me film while I'm driving. We have original film of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. And no, as already mentioned, I was not there to do the actual filming. I'm not that old. And we have some animation. We have myself on the forklift. That's always a suspenseful event. We recently tried to shoot some video from a moving car. Came out jerky, blurred, pretty much unusable without an immense amount of editing. So I decided to invest in a nice, safe, steady car rig for my camera. And this is the first test of it. Ride along with us and see what it looks like. I'm in the parking lot of Victory Baptist Church in the West Buncombe section of Buncombe County. And I've just turned on the camera and getting ready to pull out of the parking lot. That's we'll take a shortcut down to the old Lester Highway. And so far the camera's doing well. It hasn't fallen off the window. Actually, it has a rather strong suction cup to hold it to the car window on the inside. And I tested it by letting it hang there for 24 hours. Of course, I'm very concerned that my expensive camera doesn't fall off in 10 or 15 minutes. So the test reassured me, and I was willing to try driving with it. And I mounted the camera on the right side of the car in the rear seat and just turned it on, and to be safe driving I'm just ignoring it. I'm getting ready to turn onto the old Lester Highway now, which comes up from the French Broad River and goes to, you guessed it, Lester. The traffic slows down after we go around the curve here because we have a guy on a bicyclist. And I am tempted to comment here that this is pretty much evolution in action. Riding along out here in the county with the way the good old boys drive, without looking backwards, it's at the very least not a good survival trait. Okay, come around the curve here. I grew up in this area, so I can remember when this was a dirt road and there were a lot fewer houses than there are today. This is the intersection with Irwin Hills roads. Moving right along. It's about 6:30 in the evening, as you can tell the way the sun is low in the western sky. I always thought this was a very pretty, a very peaceful time of day. I enjoy it. And I got a nice little drive out testing the camera. Used to be a sawmill over there on the left. Most kids today wouldn't know what a sawmill was. My dad and I used to come over here and with a tractor and trailer and get wood to burn during the cold winters. Up here on the left is, there's nothing there now, of course, was West Buncombe Elementary School that I went to in the 1950s. It makes me feel kind of old. The building's completely gone now. There is a new West Buncombe School, but it's no longer in this location. It's about a half mile or so to the west of where it used to be. Nice and green. Weather's really good for October, but this is October the 9th, by the way, 2006, as we do this test. Should have washed my windshield. That's sort of dirty, Ralph. Shame on you. Okay, we're coming up to the intersection with old number 20 on the right. And we're going to go out old number 20 towards my home. As soon as the light changes, of course. And here we go. Old number 20. There is no new number 20. That's the actual name of the road, is old number 20. Just like the name of the old Leicester Highway is the old Leicester Highway. Of course, there is the new Leicester Highway in its case. My 7th grade English teacher lived to the right there many years ago. She's passed away now. Mrs. Rogers, she taught me a lot. Coming around the curve. And the road forks just up here, and we're going to take the right-hand fork, which is Jenkins Valley Road. And they didn't pave Jenkins Valley yet. I wish they would. It's starting to get a little ragged. I used to ride my bicycle out through here in the 50s and early 60s. But if I heard a car coming, I got off the road. I'm not like the guy we passed back there. Sorry, but some of the people who ride bicycles today are a bit arrogant, in my opinion. They don't practice good courtesy of the road. Trees are just now starting to change in this area. We're coming up on Macedonia Baptist Church. It's kind of redundant out in this area to add the word Baptist to a church. You just assume it is Baptist. Okay, and I'm turning right here onto Macedonia Road. And my business and house and is the first driveway on Macedonia, so we're going to turn in. We just paved this back in August. In fact, in an earlier show, we showed the paving. This is what I call my intra-estate highway system. This is I-2 we're on now. And we're getting ready to turn onto I-1, which leads both to the house and also to my office building. It's the house directly ahead that I grew up in and still live in. And this is my office building, so now I'm going to disconnect the camera and go inside, edit this film, add the, actually I didn't edit it, I want to stress that. This is straight, unedited. The whole trip was not edited whatsoever. that was the ideal of the test. So now I'll go in and edit it and add the voiceover. Thanks much for riding along with me. This film is an amazing piece of history. Over 100 years ago, the Thomas A. Edison Company was on hand to film that great natural disaster, the 1906 San Francisco earthquake and fire. This film highlights the role of the United States Army in transporting supplies after the earthquake. The Army's relief headquarters was at their base, the Presidio, which was outside the burned part of the city. The Army played a major role in relief and refugee operations. In the first weeks after the fire, food, water, tents, blankets, medical supplies, hay for horses were the principal needs. To pay for these supplies, Congress appropriated nearly $2.5 million in emergency aid for San Francisco. An estimated 300,000 people were homeless in late April, but the number had dropped to 25,000 by July, and emergency relief switched to long-term care in the substantial camps of earthquake cottages. According to the Internet's Wikipedia, the public domain encyclopedia online, the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 was a major earthquake that struck San Francisco and the coast of Northern California at 5:12 a.m. on Wednesday, April 18, 1906. The most widely accepted magnitude for this earthquake is 7.8 on the Richter scale. However, other values have been proposed from 7.7 to as high as 8.3. The main epicenter occurred offshore about 2 miles from the city. It ruptured along the San Andreas Fault both northward and southward for a total length of 296 miles. Shaking was felt from Oregon to Los Angeles and inland as far as central Nevada. The earthquake and resulting fire would be remembered as one of the worst natural disasters in the history of the United States. At the time, only 567 deaths were reported. The figure was concocted by government officials who felt that reporting the true death toll would hurt real estate prices and efforts to rebuild the city. Also, hundreds of casualties in Chinatown went ignored and unrecorded due to racism at the time. Today, this figure has been revised to an estimate of at least 3,000 people. Most of the deaths occurred in San Francisco itself, but 189 were reported elsewhere across the San Francisco Bay Area. Other places in the Bay Area, such as Santa Rosa, San Jose, and Stanford University also suffered severe damage. Between 225,000 and 300,000 people were left homeless out of a population of about 410,000. That's essentially 3 out of every 4 people were homeless. Half of the refugees fled across the bay to Oakland and Berkeley. Newspapers at the time described Golden Gate Park, the Presidio, the Panhandle, and the beaches between Ingleside and North Beach being covered with makeshift tents. Over 2 years later, in 1908, many of these refugee camps were still in full operation. The earthquake and fire would leave a long-standing and significant impression on the development of California. At the time of the disaster, San Francisco had been the 9th largest city in the United States and the largest on the West Coast, with a population of over 410,000. Over a period of 60 years, the city had become the financial, trade, and culture center of the West, operated the busiest port on the West Coast, and was the gateway to the Pacific. My friend Josh Holmes is involved in a housing development being constructed next door to us. So I shot this film of him attacking the tall grass with a bush hog and his tractor, just because I like filming bush hogs and tractors and all sorts of machinery. It's amazing what you can do if you have the right equipment. This whole area that he's clearing was an old hay field, so the grass does tend to grow rather well. He'd been doing it for like 50 or 60 years. So a nice tractor. I need to get one to clean my own area with, my own acreage. And Josh knows what he's doing with it, and the grass has no hope whatsoever. Go for it, Josh. This is another of my experiments in animation, and it's a couple of rookie Starfreighter pilots who are having a bit of trouble with control and just managing to barely avoid each other. The reason they're having so much problem with control is that I was in trying to animate it, but it's a fun learning process. These guys barely avoid crunching those big Starfreighters into each other. I don't think they have very high career hopes at this moment anyway. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hi, this is Ralph Roberts, and I want to show you the rhododendron plant that we planted in 1994 when Pat and I got married. We haven't done anything special to it all these years, and it still looks great. Madison County's Leo Pappy White. From 1945 to 1960, Leo White fired more rockets than any other man in the world. Once there lived a great wizard from the mountains of Madison County, North Carolina, who could make the desert thunder with just 2 words and send tons of metal flashing into the sky on a white-hot column of searing fire and billowing smoke. His name was Leo Pappy White, and in the decade following World War II, he launched more surface-to-surface rockets than any other man in America and in the world as well. Among other notable accomplishments in the fields of engineering and aerospace for his longtime employer, General Electric, Leo White was in charge of firing all the captured German V-2 rockets at the end of World War II. At White Sands in the state of New Mexico, and far from his native Blue Ridge Mountains, Leo White oversaw the firing of these 14-ton monsters so that we could learn their secrets. He did so for years, getting better performance out of them than even the Germans had dreamed possible. He turned these instruments of reprisal into scientific experiments that furthered our successful drive into space. When Pappy White drawled those two magic words in his Carolina mountain accents, the V-2s would streak skywards, riding their brilliant comet tails of flame and smoke. Main stage was the magic spell, the order that launched these mighty rockets. He said these words hundreds of times in the next decade and a half, almost always with dramatic results as 500,000 horsepower of rocket would cut loose. Hello, I'm Ralph Roberts. Testing lighting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Obviously, this is not lit very well. Not enough lighting at all. I do have the background lit, but I don't think enough field light. That's one of the problems. Yep. Definitely one of the problems. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, test. Hello, test. 1, 2, 3. Hello, test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, test. Oh my. Well, we need to look at this, I guess, a little closer on screen, on the big screen, and see. It's Saturday afternoon, and I'd much rather be playing with my video editing system and my cameras, but Pat wanted a pallet of books put up in the warehouse, so we compromised. I videotaped the putting up of the pallet. That's me on the forklift. Our forklift is rather old. I've had it 8 or 9 years, and it was well used when I bought it. Battery operated, electrical, will lift like 4,000 pounds, so it's fun to play with. Of course, you got to be very careful. 4,000 pounds moving around in a small warehouse is something that you really need to think about safety as you operate it. However, both Pat and I are certified forklift operators because the OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Administration, made sure that we got that certification. We use the forklift maybe once a month, so I often have to remember which lever does what, which is why I'm a bit slow and it takes some time in putting up the pallet. Non-everyday occurrence. Again, the forklift is electrical. I have a huge battery charger for it. It'll lift 4,000 pounds and go up to 18 feet high. Unfortunately, my warehouse is 12 feet high, so I have to be careful. However, in 8 years, I've only broken the lights once by going too high. And as you can see, Pat's reminding me of which lever does what. It would have been really nice, in a way, to have gotten the pallet up about halfway and have them tumble off and break all over the place. I'd certainly get one of those funniest video show deals out of that. But on the other hand, it is my warehouse and I don't want to break anything, so I didn't. Here we go. Now I've got it moving up. And I've got to remember to tilt it back. She's coming to remind me, but I've already remembered. See, it's moving back, tilting up. Now I can lift it safely. Wearing my hard hat, of course. So I'm fulfilling all safety regulations. Or fulfilling all safety regulations. Here we go. This is just a partially filled pallet. It's probably 400 or 500 pounds there, but it's certainly much more than I could bench press. Good. Now we've got almost at the right height to put. I'm going to put it on the pallet rack there, that just to the left of your picture. Now moving it forward. You gotta be very careful when you're moving a forklift with a pile of books held that high, because you can get overbalanced and they'll flip right over, which is not good. It's one thing they taught us in the classes I took to become certified, is you don't do things like that. Had a lot of neat movies of guys flipping over forklifts and dropping pallets off from high up and breaking many things, but it's not something I want to do in my own warehouse. Since I'm actually CEO of the company, you'd think I'd have a forklift operator, but we're a small company, and besides it's on Saturday, so to get it done I had to do it, and I did. Should have brought more lights back to for the video camera. There's one small light though, in addition to the overhead lighting. Now I need help from Pat in spotting, because the pallet racks, of course, are just two metal rails, and you've got to position the pallet exactly right so that its cross pieces match up with the rails. Just lifting it up there is fine, but you want it to stay and not fall off. So we're getting it lined up, and then we'll tilt it down so that both parts of the pallet are resting on rails. Then I can lower the forklifts just a little bit and pull them out. You notice there's not a whole lot of room to the back of me, so I can't back up too far. I have to be careful swinging it back out. And as the forks pivot, when you're removing them from the pallet, you want to make sure you don't tip it and pull it crooked where it can drop down. However, it's a whole lot better than putting them up there one carton at a time. Those cartons weigh 35 to 40, 50 pounds each. They're heavy. Now I'm pulling the pallets back out some. And I'm backing up. And there I go. Now, I lower the forks before I move too far. It's safer that way. And now I'm going to back it back into the bay. We keep it in where the charger is. Marvelous equipment. I love equipment that does work. A lot better than me doing it. So, thanks for watching. Go to ralphwroberts.com to see this show again.